Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Countdown Scouting Network. Today, I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the pro days that have gone on over the last week. We'll also touch on the Tyreek Hill trade to Miami a little bit. And if we have time, we'll take some of your questions. Maybe have some of you guys come backstage. So welcome in. It's the Thursday show. I think next Monday, instead of doing the traditional mock draft Monday, I think we're going to take one of the analysts, the NFL Network analysts, one of their mock drafts, and just kind of pick it apart a little bit. I think that'll be fun to do. Because none of these mock drafts are an exact science, so there's some stuff to criticize, and so I think that'll be fun. So, but today let's talk about some things. I just kind of wanted to bring up some news about the channel. I'm working behind the scenes right now. I don't want to say too much about it, just in case it doesn't, it kind of falls through. We'll see. But I'm working behind the scenes to bring something kind of cool to the channel. So I kind of wanted to bring that up just to kind of hype it up. Hopefully it happens sometime late next week. If not, hopefully before the end of April where the draft is. But it should be exciting, and I hope it happens and it kind of snowballs into something bigger. So just wanted to say that off the top. Behind me, I'm watching March Madness, so hopefully this doesn't get copyright struck for having that on in the background. But second, I know if you follow this channel on YouTube, you see the thumbnails aren't the greatest, and also on Instagram, the Instagram pictures, just the notifications to show when we're going live. I know those aren't the greatest or aren't the prettiest looking. So I am working to kind of see if I can get a graphic design person to just kind of create a template to make it easier for me. I didn't go to school for graphic design or anything like that, so I am a novice to it. If I can't get someone to help, I'll hopefully get better at it to make things prettier and hopefully help this channel grow a little bit faster. So those are two things I wanted to talk about with this channel. And then now let's get into the trade. So I think it was the middle of the day yesterday. Tyreek Hill, the Kansas City Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. And I kind of wanted to give my perspective on that. I think the Chiefs, when it was announced that Tyreek Hill did not want to, sign an extension, I think they did a really good job of moving within the hour and finding a couple suitors to keep the price for him competitive. And I think they did a pretty good job getting a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a sixth back for him. If you kind of compare that to Las Vegas, only having to pay a first, I think it was 23 for Devontae Adams because he didn't want to sign the franchise tag. I think if you add up pick 29 and pick 51, which is that first and second round pick, I think that adds up to roughly the same amount of points as pick 23, but you got 2 fourths and a 6th rounder as well. So I think those 2 4th rounders could end up being people that they utilize pretty well. 6th rounders, hopefully they get a special teams guy, but yeah, so I think they got a good amount from that trade. On the Miami Dolphins perspective, I think it was an A+ trade. You didn't really touch next year's draft capital other than 1 4th round pick and a 6th round pick, so you still have 2 first rounders next year, and you get a guy who honestly can be a field stretcher, but also you get the ball to his hands on bubble screens or at 2-yard drags, and he can take those to the house as well. He's a super dynamic athlete. So it kind of helps your young quarterback out. I think it's Tua's last year and the general manager's last year, Chris Greer, to kind of prove themselves. So I think it was smart for them to go out, but I also think it was good value as well. So I think I would give an A minus or an A. I guess I'd give a B. Let's do this. I'll give a B for a B. Yeah, we'll do it just a solid B. I was thinking B minus, but a B on Kansas City's end and a solid A on the Dolphins end for the trade. Now, Miami also extended Tyreek Hill to a 4-year, $120 million with like $72 million guaranteed. So, I mean, that makes it $30 million a year, which is more than the next guy, which I think like $4 million, which the next guy is Devontae Adams. And then after that, it's Christian Kirk at 21, I think. So I think $30 million is a lot, but you're only paying your quarterback $8 million this year. So I guess we'll see. You can get out of it after the third year with no cap casualties. I think after the second year, you can get out with like $10 million only. So I would give the deal a C plus. I mean, I think you overpaid by about $5 million a year. That's not terrible. But if it was, the deal was a 4-year, $100 million with like $60 million guaranteed, I think that would look a lot better. So I'll give them a C plus on the deal, an A on the trade, and then give Kansas City a B minus on the trade as well. So, and again, the Devontae Adams trade, you only got one first rounder for him. I don't know what Kansas City's going to do, and I don't know what I don't know what Green Bay is going to do to kind of replace these two guys. They could trade up in the draft. They both have 2 picks in the 20s. So they could trade up and get one of these elite receivers. They could trade back and try to get two or 3 second and third round receivers to kind of split the workload. I know Marquez Valdez-Scantling just signed with the Chiefs. And Green Bay doesn't really have any cap space right now. I think they have $15 million, and they still got a lot of guys to re-sign. So I don't know, could be interesting, but I do think this has been one of the craziest off seasons in like the last 7 or 8 years that I can remember, at least. I think it's something to be cautious about, just because with the NBA, it's a players' league, and players are always moving back and forth and going from club to club. There's really no consistency, and it's hard for them to, get fans that actually really care and want to watch the games because of that. And I don't think the NFL is moving that direction. I just think it's something small that people need to kind of be aware of, is that if it keeps going in this direction and all of a sudden there's people refusing to sign franchise tags and refusing to play unless they get traded. I know the Deshaun Watson thing, that was a different animal in itself. But I mean, all of a sudden Baker Mayfield wants out. That's a whole nother can of worms to open up as well, just because, where is he going to go? They kind of have no spot for him to go just because of how late in the process it was. But I think the movement's good. I think the movement's healthy at this point in time. If we have the same thing with a bunch of these crazy trades going on next year, I think then it's kind of time to hit the panic button on the NFL as a whole. But I think that's all I have to say about that. Noah says Banner looks fire. Thanks, man. I'm still trying. Hopefully, people read this. You can go to www.countdownscoutingnetwork.com. That's the website where I just post my player rankings. I think sometime next season during the next draft cycle. I think we'll have some people writing up some reports or sorry, that's one of my cats. I think we'll have people writing up reports and just kind of hopefully getting more interaction on it. Also, if you follow us on Twitter at 321 Scout Network, I am trying out the Twitter thing. I didn't really use it very much, other than to just other than to just look on it every once in a while, when just my personal account. So I'm not really sure how that works right now. I think we've gotten like 1,500 unique impressions so far on the channel, but still haven't had very many people actually follow the channel. So if you aren't following it, go ahead and give it a follow. I don't really spam the feed, but I do retweet and quote tweet right now with pro days going on, and kind of give a little bit of an analysis. But I would say probably between 3 and 7 notifications from me every single day. Most of it's just retweeting stuff that you might already see, but go ahead and leave that like. Yes, the background music, I found that on here as well. Hopefully it's not too loud. If it is, I can always turn it down, but I think it's a good volume at the moment. But if it's not, please let me know, Noah. Toby, thank you for making it to the live stream. I'm thinking that hopefully I can cut this one down to a certain length and put it out on Apple Podcasts. So I am working to get these live streams put out on Apple Podcasts for people to listen to if they can't make it. Brandon, a unique impression is like a unique person. So it's like how many people it's actually reached. So I think my tweets are averaging like 200 impressions, maybe something like that for a couple of them, and then some have less. One tweet that I put out had like 800 unique impressions, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much, but I thought it was pretty good for really only using Twitter for about 3 days now. So all right, I think we got through all the stuff at the beginning that I wanted to get out of the way. I see we have 6 people in here, so I appreciate you guys stopping by. So let's get into the Raz. I will share my screen and let me know if I'm covering up anything. I can kind of. All right. Let's see. How does that look? You guys can see the Raz? Yes. All right. So Raz is relative athletics score. And it's created by, I think, 1 or 2 people. And they do a really good job. It kind of boils down everything. Here, hold on. Sorry, I just saw a comment from a new person that I am not sure of. So Caroline says, what does the cat think about the Tyreek Hill trade? Well, the cat's name is Casey. And she is excited about it because she's a Dolphins fan. So she's been meowing about it for the past couple days. So I think the cat's very excited about the Tyreek Hill trade. I think it'll help out Tua. Or I think she thinks that it'll help out Tua. So I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate the comment as well. So going back to it, the RAS is a relative athletic score. It's a 0 to 10 system. It takes into account height, weight, bench press, 40 time, vertical. It takes in everything that you'll do at the combine and compares it to kind of a pool of players from 1987 to this year's draft as well. So there's a couple really good ones that I was really impressed with, a couple surprises, and then a couple stinkers that I do want to get to. Again, the RAS is trying to get everything into one number to make it simplified, and it's not an end-all be-all by any means, but it does kind of paint a picture. Brandon said, "Don't spill the beans about Woods." I have to. I have to. That's the first person I'm bringing up, and he's already pulled up on here. So, Jelani Woods. We'll go ahead to his Raz. Let's see. Does it? All right. So it didn't pull it up. I'm gonna have to reshare this. Again, I'm still trying to learn how to use this system. So, we'll do the window. All right. We'll do a window, and then I'll just pull that out. Put this in the window too. Again, this probably isn't the most fun thing to watch right now with me struggling. Once I get my like an actual computer set up, then it'll be a lot easier because then you know, I'll have two screens and it'll make it easier where I can go back and forth. Okay. Here we go. This is the screen I want to share, because then I can go back and forth. So let's just double check that it's looking at what I want to look at. It is perfect. Okay. So let's go on to Jelani Woods. Jelani Woods is the first one that we kind of want to get into. He's 6'7", 250-pound tight end. He was a quarterback coming out. He also played basketball in high school. He's a 3-star basketball prospect. But he was known as a freak already. And I mean, if you look at this, it takes in your composite size. The size is great, of course, at 6'7", 250. I heard his playing weight's closer to 265, and he cut down so he could get this 40-yard dash time and all these like kind of agility scores. But I don't know how true that is. Even if he's 6'7", 250 pounds, that's also good. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull some stuff up and just so hang tight with me. All right. Okay, so yeah, this is Jelani Woods. He's from Virginia Tech. Not Virginia, so we'll have to double check that. But I mean, all these scores, if you see green, that's a good sign, and a 10 out of 10 is crazy as well. So if you look up him, and we can actually compare it to some other tight ends. Mike Gesicki, a 9.97. Lucas Kroll did well too, so that's exciting. But yeah, so I just want to pull up Jelani Woods. He was expected to be this superstar athletically. And so, you know, it's good that he is. Going on to a guy at the tight end position that did not do very well is Texas A&M's. Here, let's go to tight ends. All right. So Lucas Kroll also did well. He'll probably be a late round guy or an undrafted free agent. As you can see, if it's yellow, that's just kind of average. But let's go to the fourth page. Nope, I guess he's probably on the third page. But it's Jalen Wydermyer from Texas A&M. He scored a 1.07 on the Raz. Yes, Brandon. Woods does have pretty good hands, I think. Again, I haven't scouted him as much, but he's super long. He's got super wide catch radius. And I do think he has pretty good hands as well. So I think he'll shoot up boards. He was already, talked about being, top three or four tight end in this draft anyways. And I think he'll probably be closer to that second tight end taken now. It just depends if people like Greg Dulcich from UCLA, or if they want Isaiah Likely from Coastal. It's a pretty good tight end class this year. Again, there's not really that many like superstar tight ends, but it's deep on tight end. So kind of going back, I think we can do a comparison as well. But I mean, you look at the measurements, he's smaller, so of course the composite size is going to be different. But if you just look at this, he's about the same weight, ran 0.4 of a second slower, didn't do any of the composite agility stuff. But I mean, his explosive grades were just very poor, 0.33 and a 2.5. So I thought it would be fun to do my own. Hey, Grant, nice of you to show up. We'll get into quarterbacks a little bit. I don't know if they're up yet. So they are still putting some of this stuff up. But yeah, I mean, this is not a good athletic score that you want to see from, arguably the top tight end in this draft. And so it kind of did raise some eyebrows, especially with him not having a very dominant season this year like people thought. So we'll kind of see about that. Let me do a comparison of both of these guys just so we can kind of look them. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to type on screen. That's like my worst fear. All right, Jalen, why? My thank goodness. Lincoln Jelani. Jelani Woods. Alright, compare as tight ends. Hopefully I don't have to put the colleges in. I figured they'll be able to pick these guys out. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we can look at them side by side. And I mean, he's almost 6'4", he's 6'3" and 7/8. So it's basically 6'4", which is I think it's a fine height for a tight end. It's not dominant, but looking at the arm size, 1 inch less. Hand measurements, they're basically the same. So, I mean, looking at the hand measurements, the height, the arm length, the weight, I don't really care about that stuff. It's all adequate in my opinion. But then if you look at just these athletic scores, the 20-yard split, the 10-yard split, the vertical is ridiculously different. 10 feet, 9 inches for the broad jump versus barely 9 feet for Jalen Wydermyer's. And he didn't, I wonder why he didn't do the shuttle or the 3-cone, obviously, because he's not very explosive and he doesn't have very good burst and quickness. So this is just kind of showing that. So Jelani Woods blew it out the water. We already knew he was athletic, but this might be like the most athletic tight end times, most athletic RAS score of all time for a tight end. So he might hold that record for a while. And Jalen Wydermyer probably wishes this wasn't a metric that a lot of teams use, I believe. What does a blank score do to the overall? I don't think it's counted in there, but I'm not sure. So what I actually wanted to do is I wanted to compare Jalen Wydermyer to me, my junior year of high school, what my RAS score would be. I think I already did it. So he got a 1.07. So let's do a calculator, and we'll do me just for fun. I think it's actually more athletic than Pitts, Toby. I see you commented that. Pitts, maybe not. Because honestly, I mean, Pitts ran a 4.39 and some other stuff, but all right. So player name, put me in here. Hopefully it saves me to the system. That'd be cool. Height, 5'10" and 5/8. My weight, my junior year, I was 235. I played center, so that's kind of gonna throw it off. But I ran a 5.03, 20-yard split. I actually don't remember the 20-yard split, but I'm not very athletic. So what was Wydermyer's? We can figure out his. I can kind of guess what mine would have been. So his 20-yard split was a 2.9. We'll say I was a 3.3. 10-yard split, he was a 1.76. Again, I'll say a 1.9. So the numbers aren't going to be exact, but my 40-yard dash, as you can see, my 40-yard dash, he was a 5.02. I was a 5.03. So mine was barely better. Excuse me, he was barely better, and he's a college athlete. I did 17 at 225. What did he do? He did not bench. Ooh. I didn't do vert. I didn't do that stuff. So let's just I was a center. Is this good podcasting? I don't know. Yeah, I think my broad jump was like a 6. It wasn't very good. It was like a 6.05, let's say. Vertical jump, I didn't do it very. So let's see what my RAS is. I think it's like a 0.3. 0.18. So he does still beat me. Yeah, I think we should do a combine on this channel. I know I won't run a 503 anymore, but look at that as a center, a 9.2. You see green on my chart, right? Green on my chart, 503 as a center, really good, 9.2. Then we go over to Jalen Weidemeyer, and it's just all red. So what we can see is that I am more athletic than Jalen Weidemeyer. That's kind of all I wanted to show you guys on this. I got a bunch of zeros though, so that's a problem. Probably because at 235 you shouldn't be playing center, but all right, now going back to actually what we wanted to, staying on topic, let's go to another good one. I have a couple. So Charles Wiley, linebacker out of UTSA, had a really impressive RAS. Let's see where he stands with linebackers. His pro day was amazing. They might not even have it on here. Are we on the 4th page still? Yeah, we're on the 3rd page. Let's go all the way to the front. There we go. All right, so Troy Anderson is a good a linebacker out of Montana State. We already knew he was going to be a superstar athlete. He was a quarterback, so he was a quarterback for a year. I think he was an all-star at, the Montana State level, whatever conference they're in. He was like an all-star quarterback. The next year, they switched him to running back. He was an All-American running back at the Montana State level. And then he switched to linebacker for his last 2 years, and he was an all-star both of those years too. So he's just a freak athlete. He can kind of do it all. He's super smart. I think this guy is going to rise up into the late 2nd round area. And as you can tell by his RAS, I mean, he's just super athletic. We already knew Leo Chenal from Wisconsin was athletic. Brandon Smith is a freak of nature. It's just he doesn't fully understand how to play linebacker yet. But there he is, Charles Wiley from UTSA. He had a great day, and it's gonna, it's really gonna help him solidify as a 4th round guy. So he's a guy that if your team drafts in the 4th round, worst case scenario, he's gonna be a great special teamer. Just keep looking down these linebackers. The next guy I really wanted to bring up was Jeremiah Moon. Again, Jeremiah Moon's probably a day 3 guy, someone you'll get 5th, 6th, 7th round. But if you run a 3-4 defense like the Patriots or Miami or the Jaguars, if you run one of those defenses, where you kind of have a guy like Kyle Van Noy, where he can be rushing off the edge, he can drop back in coverage, he can also be kind of your second linebacker in the middle as well. It's a do it all kind of linebacker. Jeremiah Moon might surprise some people. It might be a 5th, 6th round pick that gets a good rotational role his rookie year. Out of Florida, he showed up and had a 9.2 on his RAS score, really good RAS. And yeah, I think he's going to be a sleeper as well. So Grant Haas says, how accurate has the RAS been to find sleepers in previous drafts? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can actually answer that question. I'm assuming you mean for like the dynasty values to find like 6th round picks and whatnot. Let's look. Because I mean, I know there are guys like, let's do the 2021 draft class. Oops, I don't know what I just did there. Yeah, so the 2021 draft class. Wide receivers. I don't know what's going on here. 2021. Go to wide receivers. You got guys like Jacob Harris, who converted to tight end from UCF. Didn't really play very much, but you can see Jamar Chase's was good. I'm looking for Michael Strachan. Was good from Charlotte. He didn't really do much though. Again, so I mean, some of these guys do get drafted in the middle rounds because of their RAS score. I would say late rounds. Give examples. Okay, in real life draft, not for Dynasty. Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, I like Josh Imodebebe out of Illinois, and then he put up this RAS, and I thought he was going to be really good. Didn't get drafted, went to Jacksonville, then ended up getting cut from there too. So, I don't know. I was looking for. Yeah, let's put in a couple. Let's put in a couple drafts and just kind of see if they're. I'm trying to think of like a 5th round pick that, balled out. But again, Emmanuel Hall did not pan out as a 3rd round pick from Missouri. Equanimous. Cortland Sutton from SMU isn't doing very well right now. Denzel Mims, no. Paris Campbell. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because you can compare people. But I mean, just looking through this, you can kind of see if there are any sleepers. But I didn't find any in the wide receivers. Let's do running backs because you did ask to do some running backs. It's a good question because I do like looking at this, and I know for like cornerbacks, it helps a lot for defensive backs, but for like running backs and wide receivers, Kene Wangwu, I think the N is silent, the first one, from Iowa State. He made a difference on kick returns, but that's about it. He got drafted in, I think, maybe the 5th round last year and went to the Vikings. So, I mean, he's behind a couple guys there, but he's making a career right now just from last year. I think he returned 3 or 4 punts and kickoffs for touchdowns, like combined. So I want to see someone who has a bad RAS score but ended up good. Yeah, all right, let's do it. So who's this? Let's do at least 1 Pro Bowl. At least 1,000-yard rush. At least, let's just see if we find something on this. At least that. Okay, so obviously, I see. Okay, I understand what's going on now. Hold on. Let's just do from 1987, 2001, all positions. Oh, look at that, Marshall Faulk. Yeah, okay. 88, and then obviously I just got to take away both of these, and then we'll sort from bad and just look. Ignore Pro Bowls, and we'll be the deciding factor. So we will go all the way to the end, which I'm an idiot. There's like 15,000 people in this database, so I'm probably going to crash my computer. Oh no. Okay. Let's do just. Dude, I like this. I think this is interesting. Let's do 2018 to 20. Let's do 2016. 2016 to 2021. We can almost all quarterbacks have bad RAS scores. So let's go to running backs and just see. I assume you won't really find any good ones back here. This might. Here, let's skip a few. Here we go. Here's some bad RAS. Ooh, Davion Smith from Michigan. He had a .79 RAS, and he ended up being a really good AAF, running back. So that's one. Let's go a little bit further. Let's go people that have like 2 RASs. Here's some 4s. Okay, awesome. Ramondre Stevenson had a 4.02 RAS, excuse me. And he ended up going in the 4th round. He's kind of doing okay right now. We'll look at a couple more pages. Anthony McFarland hasn't been a superstar. Jarrett Patterson is still on a team, I think. Olesen, I think he's made like $4 million in the league so far being a backup, but no superstars, no. Yeah, let's go to 5s. Corey Clement was in the league for a little bit. Keyshawn Vaughn, selected in the 2nd round, even with the bad RAS. David Montgomery has a Pro Bowl, I think, at a 5.21 RAS. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting rabbit hole. That we went down. But yeah, I think, Grant, you're right. It's a bunch of former 5-star flamed out, but you know, they tested well because they have good intangible. I think that's a great way to put it. I think that mostly is what it is. So let's get back to the regular stuff. So going to offensive tackles, had 2 really good offensive tackles. One, Ike Ekwonu, who might be a top 3 pick. I think he scored a 9 something. Here, let me put it back to just 2022, just so we can look at the stuff that just came out. So again, Zion McCollum is a guy shooting up boards, kind of like Kyle Duggard was shooting up boards 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was. Super athletic from a small school, went to, you know, one of these Senior Bowl type things, and didn't seem like it was too much pressure, just seemed like he could actually hang. So Zion McCollum is good. He's going to be a day 2 guy, but I mean, a 2nd or 3rd round corner, and I think he's a stud. I think he'll do well. Going into a school, Northern Iowa, had a really, really good pro day showing by, you know, Isaiah Weston, their wide receiver, but then also Trevor Penning, the beast tackle. He's a left tackle. He's real. I love this kid. I'm just worried he's going to end up going a little too high in the draft and have a lot of expectations. He's still raw, but he's a beast. He's a mauler. He wants the smoke, and I love this guy as a prospect. I think he deserves to be a 1st round pick, but I don't want everyone to think that he's just going to step in and all of a sudden just be like a Tristan Wirfs last year. It's not going to be like that. I think actually he pinned Tristan Wirfs in a wrestling match when they wrestled, because Wirfs was at Iowa, was a state champ wrestler, and then I think was also like in the top 5 in nationals in wrestling at Iowa while he was playing tackle. Trevor Penning went up against him at Northern Iowa, and I think he actually won one of their wrestling matches. So just something to put in there. Breece Hall, he's solidifying himself as RB1, especially with kind of his counterpunch, what everyone was saying might be a challenger for him in Isaiah Spiller, not having a very good RAS. So schools that had really good RAS: Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa, Isaiah Weston from Northern Iowa. So Northern Iowa did a really good job. Texas A&M, not so much, because Jalen Weidemeyer got a 1.07 out of 10, and he's supposed to be a really good tight end. And then Isaiah Spiller, I think, got like a 3 something. I could be wrong. Let's look it up really quickly. But I think he's got a 3 something. You look at guys like Breece Hall with almost a perfect 10. Other guys like Brian Robinson had like an 8.85 or something like that. Dameon Pierce coming up the rear at like a 7.9. So it's a little concerning. It's not that concerning. Yeah, he had a 4.38. So looking at his numbers, Kenyon Green had an average day, which he's supposed to be a first-round pick. But I think people kind of knew he's more of a power gap scheme guy. He's not going to be an outside wide zone. So let's do a comparison with Breece Hall and Isaiah Spiller. That's what I want to do. Nice. Isaiah Spiller. And just kind of compare these two, because these are the guys fighting for RB1 and RB2. Okay. And obviously, again, the RAS score is not everything. There's anticipation, there's pass catching ability that goes into it, there's pass blocking. There's a lot more instinctual stuff that goes into being a running back, obviously. But again, these numbers do kind of tell a story. So, same weight. Breece Hall is what, 1 inch shorter than Isaiah Spiller. So 1 inch shorter and same weight. They probably have close to the same leg size, especially with the arm sizes being close to the same. I think Isaiah Spiller, being a little taller, having longer arms, he probably has longer legs as well, which means he should be able to stride better. But even with that, you're talking about a 0.2 seconds on the 40. Sub 4.4 versus a 4.6, which again, it's not the end of the world if you run a 4.6. It's more about the explosion with it. But as you can see, the explosion's not really there either. This kind of the 20-yard and it's the 10-yard split that kind of concerns me a little bit. And again, it's only a 1/10 of a second. It could have just been 2 bad runs. So it's not that much to be worried about. No one thought Isaiah Spiller had the long speed anyways. But again, it's something that if a team's looking at this stuff, I think if there's a tiebreaker, they're both okay at catching the ball. I think they both have room to work with in the pass protection game. I think they're both pretty instinctual runners. And so if I'm someone who kind of is trying to pick between the two, this is something that you got to put into the decision process. And again, I'm going to keep saying it's not the end all be all. But I thought it was interesting because a lot of people have Isaiah Spiller as RB1. I have him as, I think, RB4, but he will be moving up to my RB3 if I ever update my list. I have Breece Hall as my RB3 right now. I think he'll be my RB2. I still have Kenneth Walker in front of both of them. I think he offers a little bit more in the pass game. I think all 3 of them have more to prove in pass blocking. So I'll put it that way. But I like all 3 of the running backs. Even with this RAS score, I expected a 4.6 40 from Isaiah Spiller. I'm not surprised by it. So that was the good and bad from the running backs. Let's see if I had anything more. Oh, I have a lot more bad in the wide receivers. So here's something I want to do. I'm going to give you guys one of my favorite day 2 wide receivers. Whoops, I didn't want to do the calculator. I wanted to do the comparison. One of my favorite day 2 wide receivers, Calvin Austin. The third wide receiver from Memphis. I have to click on that. Yeah, Memphis. And then someone that just got traded. Let's just do Tyreek Hill, I guess. just because he just got traded, we talked about him a little bit today. No other reasons. Their RAS scores probably aren't that similar. All right, but let's just see. We're just doing this for fun, Hey, Tyler, welcome in, man. Yeah, so let's just look at oh my gosh, look at that. Their RAS scores are identical. And I'm not saying Calvin Austin's the next Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying anything like that. Tyreek Hill is more stockier and kind of bounces off tackles more than Calvin Austin. But Calvin Austin, at 5'7", 170 pounds, lighter and shorter than hey buddy, I'll jump in here. Lighter and shorter than Devonta Smith. He can take a hit, but he does not get hit very often. He's super shifty. He's one of my favorite receivers in this draft, other than obviously the top, 5 receivers. He's somebody I think is going to make a big difference on a team. I was also saying the same thing about Rondale Moore last year, and I just don't think he was used very effectively in Carolina. But so going through this, you got a 4.29 from Tyreek Hill from West Alabama. You got a 4.32 from Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin didn't bench probably because he would have put up like 3, I would say. I don't think he's very strong upper body. But then these splits are crazy. 20-yard split, 2.49 versus 2.51. So he actually beats Tyreek Hill in that. 1.44 versus 1.5. So he beats Tyreek Hill in the 10. Verticals, they both jump. 1.5 inches is not that big of a difference, especially whenever you think about, we don't have the arm size here, but Tyreek Hill has a full inch on him, or a full half an inch on Calvin Austin. So you just think, okay, there's only 1 inch, which is like this big. So it's not that big of a difference. You look at the broad jump. You look at the broad jumps, and Calvin Austin actually has a better broad jump. The shuttles are basically the same, and the 3 cones are basically the same. Tyreek Hill's got a little bit more. So with that 3 cone, he can kind of change direction a little bit. Tyreek can change direction a little bit faster, which obviously we know Tyreek's one of the most twitchy receivers in the league. So that's a comparison of their athletic skills. That does not necessarily mean he's going to translate to be the next Tyreek Hill. I do think he's going to be a mid-second round pick, somewhere around 40 to 55, something like that. And I could see, Kansas City, who does have pick 51 that they got from Miami. They got, I think, 51 and 52. They also have 29 and 30. Maybe they trade 29 and 30 up to 19 and get a guy like Chris Olave. And then also at 51, if Calvin Austin's still there, get Calvin Austin as well. And then you kind of got 2 guys that are explosive, have good route running and good speed, that their price point is going to end up being, you're talking about trading up to 19. So what's that? $2 million a year. And then you talk about at pick 51, that's $1.1 million a year, 875, something like that. So you're talking about with $3 million on top of the $10 million they just gave Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Talking about $13 million. You have 3 receivers that can do a lot of what Tyreek Hill can do. They're not necessarily comparable to Tyreek Hill as a whole, but they're all twitchy guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City tries to get a Calvin Austin if they aren't able to get a guy like, Chris Olave or one of those top guys. So that's a guy to look out for. I really love Calvin Austin, though, coming out in this draft. So had to give him a little bit of a shout out. Couple guys I am very disappointed in. Treylon Burks. I'm not disappointed in Treylon Burks. I sound like his dad, but I'm not disappointed in him. It's just the hype with Treylon Burks of, he's the next Deebo Samuel. I didn't think he was the next Deebo Samuel. Not very many people did, but he kept getting that hype. of being the next Deebo Samuel. So when he's athletically testing, everyone's like, oh, he's going to run a 4.4. He's going to be super twitchy. That's not the case. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. And so I think he had about a 5'6". Let's look Treylon up. A 5'7". His RAS wasn't great, but again, you're talking about a 6'2", 225-pound receiver who ran a 4.55. You know, he ran faster than Devontae Adams. He ran faster than Keenan Allen. You know, he ran faster than these guys. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but you look at his RAS score, you look at his 40, and you look at his jumping, which is his vertical was bad. I will say that his vertical was bad. You want it to be closer to that 40 range. You want it to be 37, 38 at 6'2". And 33.5-inch arms. So I think that was a little disappointing. I still think he's a top three wide receiver in this class. You know, you've got Jameson Williams at number 1 in my eyes, then Treylon Burks, or you can say I like Chris Olave better than Garrett Wilson, but you can say one of them. You can say Drake London. I think he's in that mix for that 2 through 4, though, even with this athletic testing. So he's someone that disappointed me. Again, he didn't really disappoint me. I knew it was going to be something close to this. I was hoping it'd be around a 7, though, instead of a 5.75. Going on to guys that actually disappointed me. Again, wide receivers. Let's wait for this to go. I'll take a drink of body armor. There we go. All right. Going back to receivers. Going back to 2022. Hopefully we'll be able to just kind of scroll through this. So Alec Pierce does well. Great. Tyquan Thornton. We already knew these guys are super athletic. George Pickens does well. But from Clemson, whoops. All right, calm down. Justin Ross. Let's find his. Oh my goodness. Justin Ross with a 2.57. This is a guy from Clemson who was supposed to be a first-round pick like 2 years ago. He ended up having I think it was a back issue, and he had to get surgery on, which cost him like an entire year. Kenny Pickett's tiny hand score. Hey, his hands are growing right now. He's at an 8 5/8 instead of what he was at the combine, which is the 8 4/8. So they're growing. I think if they keep growing at this if they keep growing at this speed, by the time the regular season rolls around, he's gonna have 9-inch hands. So I think we gotta leave his hand size alone. Justin Ross, bad RAS score. He was supposed to be a first-round pick like 2 years ago, and then he had that back issue, and maybe that he just never came back from that because he sat out, I think, the entire year this year as well. After healing from that, I think he just opted out, and the RAS score is really disappointing. He was a guy I had great hopes to be like, one of these like 4th round guys. And again, he could still be that. Could still be a 4th round guy that just because he doesn't have a good RAS score. But he was a guy that was jumping out. Like, that's what he was known for, were jump balls. And I don't think his vertical was very good. We can pull it up really quickly. Yeah, vertical really poor. Broad jump really poor. Like, he was a good jump ball receiver. He was getting back shoulders all the time. And just, I don't know. So that's something I was a little disappointed by. Going to the next guy, another wide receiver. This one out of the Big Ten, guy who lights up teams like Ohio State and Michigan State and all these big games. guy named David Bell. David Bell. Really disappointing. A 3.97. He disappointed me at the combine, and I was thinking, okay, maybe at his pro day he'll do better. At his pro day, he did not. Ran a 4.65. Again, 33-inch vertical. Not that good. He's 6 foot 212, so he's got solid size. He's almost 6'1", 212. That's solid size for a receiver, but I mean, he's not 230. I was hoping his 40-yard dash would be around a 4.5, 4.53, 4.49, somewhere around there at 212, and it's not. His 3-cone was bad. His shuttle was even worse. His vertical was very bad. And this is a guy, I mean, people were talking about, can he sneak into the first round? And not with these scores. Even though we looked through and we talked about how, even though we talked about how the RAS score is not the end-all, be-all, with wide receivers, if you want to be in the first round, and you had the kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. If you put up this kind of production that David Bell did, but only running a couple routes, people want to know that you're athletic enough to run these other routes, and he's just not showing it. He's not going to be a day 3 guy, but he might fall from being a top 2nd round pick to being just a 3rd or even an early 4th round pick. I don't think he'll be a 4th, but he could fall just kind of because of how underwhelming this RAS score is. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see. Ooh, hot take by Tyler. Kenny is going to be better than Willis. Talking about Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt. It's going to be better than Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty. It's interesting. I think Kenny Pickett, I don't know. I think Kenny Pickett has more experience, obviously, and so he can read defenses a little bit better. But Malik Willis can extend plays. I hear that he's really good on the chalkboard as well. So I hear that he's very football intelligent as well. I don't know. We'll see. I think Malik Willis will have a longer leash just because of all the razzle dazzle he brings. But I like the hot take. It wasn't long ago, before the hand size stuff, that everyone was saying Kenny Pickett is the clear-cut QB1. All of a sudden, the hand size stuff comes out, and it's confirmed that it's 8.5 inches, and all of a sudden, Malik Willis. So, could be smoke screens. It is smoke screen season, so I wouldn't be that surprised seeing Kenny Pickett be the first guy off the board, but we will see. All right, the last receiver I do want to bring up, because it has been an hour, and this is the last guy I'll bring up, and then if anyone wants to come back, I'll drop the link if they want to argue something, is, my favorite. A guy I had as wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6. This is a guy I really, really liked until I started looking more into his tape, and I got his RAS scores came out, and he wasn't as explosive as I thought he was going to be. And it's Jahan Dotson. There it is, Jahan Dotson, a 6'2", which isn't terrible, but as a guy who's supposed to be a field stretcher, he just doesn't do that much. Actually, his 40 time's not bad. His 20-yard split's not bad either, but he just all he is a field stretcher. So if you think about it, he's could be like a Quez Watkins, but again, Quez Watkins is also 6'3". So I don't know. He doesn't. All he did was be a field stretcher with Penn State, and I don't know if. Usually using this RAS, you can kind of tell, okay, he can change direction and keep speed at the same time, or he can jump out the gym. You can do some other stuff with him, but right now, I'll compare Olave to Wilson right after this. Right now, it looks like he's just going to be a field stretcher. So a guy who's getting a lot of first round hype, I'm afraid he's gonna get taken in the first round and be a Jalen Rager. A guy who's explosive and can stretch the field and has great hands, and all of a sudden he's got a limited route tree. It's a go ball, and that's it. A go ball and a post. So we'll see. Those are the wide receivers. That's actually everyone I really wanted to get on with this Raz scores. Let's do the comparison, and let's do the two Ohio State wide receivers, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. They just had their pro day yesterday, I think, or was it today? I don't remember, Grant. But yeah, we'll go ahead and compare that. Brandon says, how did Dubs do? I don't know what that means, Brandon. I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about. I don't know. You have to send another one because I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about. Chris Olave. We'll compare them as wide receivers because that is what they are. All right. So Garrett Wilson had a faster 40, but not by much. Again, they are very similar, with Garrett Wilson having a longer wingspan, even being a full inch shorter. But again, their scores will get brought down a little bit just because of this height weight that's put into it. Again, 6 foot 190, 5'11", 180. With their explosion metrics, when you're talking about this 1.53 on a 10-yard split, the 2.53, and then a 4.38, it doesn't really bother me that much. Neither of them ran a 3-cone. Olave didn't run the shuttle. Garrett Wilson did, and his shuttle, his 20-40-20 shuttle is what it is. It's not very good, I guess, comparatively to some other wide receivers, but Chris Olave did kind of help himself out. I'm sure if you take away this shuttle, Garrett Wilson is probably just slightly underneath. I would say if you take away this, he's probably an 8.5 or something like that. So both really good scores. The shuttle and not doing 3-cone is kind of something I would want to see, but I think both Ohio State receivers are going to be good. I think they're both going to go before 25. So I still like Chris Olave better. I think he has better hands, and I think he runs his routes a little bit better. I think Garrett Wilson has some concentration drops, even though he makes better acrobatic catches. I think he makes the better crazy plays. But from what I've seen, which obviously you've probably seen more than me, just being an Ohio State fan, I like Chris Olave better. So that's all I've got. Does anyone have any questions or want to come backstage to talk a little bit? I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and drop the link. I got to figure out how to do that first. Thanks, buddy. All right, so I dropped the StreamYard's link. If anyone wants to come backstage, feel free to put that on, and I can put you on, and we can talk a little bit. So, you want to be a star until you don't. This is Griffin. Hi, Griffin. There we go. All right. I have not gotten anyone that wants to come backstage, and I haven't gotten any questions. So we'll end it here. It's been an hour. I've talked a little bit about Raz. So I think next stream will be on Monday, probably same time, 7:30 Eastern. I'm gonna pick. I don't know whose mock draft we're gonna pick, but we're gonna pick someone's mock draft, and we're gonna go through it and criticize it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be more fun than every single week me just creating a new mock draft and kind of trying to throw some exciting picks into it. So thank you, Noah. I love you too. And I will see you on Monday. Thank you, guys. Peace.